Welcome to the 10-Minute Mind Shift Podcast. I'm your host, Janet Cagle, certified life coach, weight loss coach, and lover of all things related to upleveling my life and yours. My goal is to help you get one step closer to your goal, whatever it is. My goal is not to keep you wrapped up in self-help all day, just 10 minutes. And who doesn't have 10 minutes, right? Hello, my friend. Welcome back. How are you? The Kegels, well, we have moved. I batch processed several episodes so that I could have a few weeks away from the mic. And so this is my first one back. This is my recording my first episode since we've moved. And so here we are. We've been here for almost 4 weeks now, and we are loving it tremendously. I have not cleaned a stall in almost 4 weeks. Dutch has turned out 24/7 on about 2.5 acres. He has stalls that he can go in and out of and get covered shelter, but I love that he can just go out and meander and not be stuck in a stall. I did have to get him a donkey, though, because he was extremely lonely and missed his equine friends. It's amazing how quickly he calmed down and started enjoying life with his Jenny. So now we are in what I call the burn-in period, and I'm going to do an episode about that next week. But this week, we are going to talk about boundaries. This is episode number 79. In episode 71, I talked about raising your personal brand standards, and one of the tools that I use that comes in very handy is what I call a velvet rope. You might know it as a boundary. Now, we use that term boundary in many areas of our lives, but I want to give you a little mind shift today around boundaries and what they really are and how you can use them to uplevel your standards. A mind left unmanaged is going to use boundaries all wrong. So buckle up, my friends. This topic is going to be a little bumpy, but I promise a smooth landing. As humans, with our amazing human brains, we are always searching for ways to control other humans in our lives so that we can be happy, feel better, experience life exactly the way we want it. I talk about the manual and how the manual that we have for others way back in episode 12. So that actually might be a good companion to this episode. That is just the way the primal part of the brain works. It doesn't mean anything's gone wrong or that anything's wrong with you. It just means that you're managing your emotions and living your life from the primal part of your brain, the subconscious, the lizard brain. And when we are there in the primal part of the human brain, we hit the bumpy parts of our journey, we tend to look at what others are doing to create the bumps. We go to the place of, if this person would just do this or stop doing this, then I would feel better. I would be less irritated and agitated, more confident. You know what I mean? We look at our boss and we think that the things they are doing is making us feel crappy and insignificant. We look at our friends and notice how they are never there for us and we are always there for them, and they are disrespectful of our time and they're always late. We even take notice of how husband isn't doing the things he promised, or how he's just being crabby these days and annoying and watching too much football. We see the everyday service provider in our lives and think if they could just get their act together and get the order right and move this line faster, then I wouldn't be so irritated. Are you tracking with me? Here is your mind shift, my friend. How are you treating you? What promises do you make to you and then break? What do you say you are going to start and then you don't? What do you say that you're going to stop and then you don't? How do you talk to you? How do you respect your time? What do you follow through on? Or does your behavior get beyond the velvet rope, the boundary? I really want you to think about that. And before you try to clean up how other people show up in your life, I really want you to clean up how you show up for you. Set a standard for what you will allow from yourself, and then for sure, you can clean up what you will allow from others. It really seems like lately I've been doing a lot of coaching on relationships a lot more. And one of the things that I hear people say is how much that other person is always letting them down or not showing up for them, and how they are disappointed by other people's behavior. When I ask them to get clean on how often they are letting themselves down and not showing up at their highest and best self for themselves, it's a huge awakening. Are you tolerating overeating when you said you wouldn't? Are you tolerate overspending when you said you wouldn't? Are you tolerating telling yourself you're going to stick to a plan and then you don't? Are you tolerating waiting until the last minute to get something done? What are you tolerating from yourself for yourself? What velvet rope or boundary have you set for yourself that you don't honor, and why? So that is where you start. And then, and only then, can you take a look at the people in your life and create standards and boundaries for what you will tolerate from them. Now, here's the deal. Having a boundary for another human can only ever come from a place of love and respect for them, for you, for the relationship. It's not about managing your irritations around them. It's not about managing their behavior so that you can feel better or not have to deal with the negativity. We try so hard to avoid other people's negativity in our lives that we end up not being very good at it. And the truth is, life is 50-50. We have to get good at managing the other 50% too. Here's the deal on boundaries. They come from a place of love, not anger, not hurt, and not resentment. And they are not what the other person has to stop or start doing. It's what will you do? What will you do if your friend is late again? Maybe you will wait 5 minutes and order without her. Maybe you will leave. Whatever it is that you decide to do, it isn't about making them not late again. It's about you deciding what you will do when they are, and then be ready and willing to do it. Huh? You mean I can't just expect a friend to never be late again? Why can't I just have those expectations? You can, but remember, if your emotional well-being is tied to how they show up, then for sure you will be disappointed. But when you clean up how you treat you and you exercise self-love properly, when someone else shows up outside of your standard, you aren't offended. You don't make it mean anything about you or your relationship. You keep it about them and their way of showing up. You don't get offended by their behavior. Do you see how that can work? Now, let me warn you. Exercising your velvet rope may mean that friend gets upset. She may think you should just wait, and that's okay too. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable with exercising your standard. It's a process. It's part of growing your self-image, and here's what I have learned. People get on board, and they line up with how you treat yourself first and foremost. When you are a good steward of your time, so are they. Or at least they are not surprised when they are late and you started without them or you left. When you do what you say you're going to do for you, the people that are also your people will too. The people that aren't your people probably never will, and that's okay. They won't be surprised when you exit that relationship. The more that you tolerate your own BS mess, the more likely you are to tolerate others. So just notice what you are tolerating from yourself first. How are you treating you? Where are you disappointing you? So get clean on your own velvet rope and self-boundaries first. And then from a place of love and peace and calm, you can start exercising boundaries for others. I'm going to give you an example of one that I have. I don't take phone calls after 8 o'clock unless someone is bleeding or dying. And I'll only learn about that through the voicemail. Here's the deal. I was getting mad because I would get calls and then I would get all wound up and couldn't go to sleep at night. My thought was, why do people need to call so late in the evening? But here's the deal. 8 o'clock is not late in the evening for everyone, just for me. I don't have to answer just because the phone rings. I let it go to voicemail. It does not mean that they aren't important or that I don't love them and want to talk to them, just not at 8 o'clock at night. I want to protect and honor my body's need for relaxation and sleep, and that's what makes me available for everyone else on a higher level, honoring myself first. Using the same scenario, do people get upset when I don't answer? Well, it's not my business how they respond to my boundary. It's not a boundary that is set to teach them a lesson or keep them from calling when they want. It's a boundary that is set to honor what I need to do for me in order to wind down and go to sleep. They can still call after 8. They'll just have to leave a message and we'll catch up the next day. Do you see how that works? They still get to do what they want to do, and so do I. Let's look at another one. Maybe you have a neighbor or a relative that likes to drop by unannounced. If this is something that does not align with you, then you can honor your time and space by lovingly let them know that you love them dearly, but in the future just call and make sure that I don't have other plans. Let them know that they can still come unannounced, but you probably won't answer the door. Now, I hear all kinds of people screaming, I could never do that. That would be too uncomfortable. I don't want to make anybody else feel bad. I get it. Then don't. But then don't be upset when they come by unannounced. You said it was okay. Don't be afraid to be a little uncomfortable as you uplevel your standards, as you start creating your life by design, whatever that looks like for you. Really dial into how you are honoring your velvet rope first, and then lovingly look at your relationships. All right, my friends, I hope this was helpful and useful to you. Let me know by shooting me an email or leave a review. I would love to hear from you. That is what I have for you this week. And now I hope that you have the best week ever. That's a wrap. I hope that you were able to experience a mind shift of your own today. Listen, if you love this podcast, you should totally check out my Life by Design 6-week bootcamp. It's a work at your own pace workshop and something that you can do over and over and over again to uplevel your results. If a one-on-one coaching program is more your jam, I am all in. Just shoot me an email and get ready for a transformation at the speed of life.